What's up, everybody, and welcome to this week's What's on Kickstarter. Today we're going to be taking a look at some of the great, good, and not so good decks recently released on Kickstarter. But before we jump into it, as always, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with a friend.
And don't forget to ring the bell.
Steve, I gotta say, this is an absolutely interesting week. We got about 9 new campaigns this week, which isn't too bad. But man, there are a lot of need help campaigns out there.
I'm a little bummed out, I'm not gonna lie.
Honestly, I was hoping for a lot of great ones. There's a lot of potential, especially on the artwork side. But these campaigns themselves, they just aren't putting in the effort necessary to get that visibility and that funding goal met. So, I gotta say, man, I'm really excited to see what some of the feedback's gonna be on this one this week. And I'm really excited to see what the great ones, the ones that rose above and really put in that excellent effort there, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's always great ones that we're excited about, so let's see them.
Absolutely, man. Let's jump into it. All right, man. So coming in for this week's first great deck, we have the Natives Playing Cards deck. This deck is printed by USPCC, fulfilled by gamblers. We can see it right off the jump there, using those logos to really bring attention to the brands that you're going to be partnering with on this project, which is always a great touch there. Love to see it. We actually start off with a really strong story, though, kind of hooking you with an interesting kind of tie-in. It almost reminds me of like a movie trailer, like what's the voiceover, where you have like the guy kind of dragging you in and being like, all right, what's this all about, you know? Before kings, queens, and the rest of the court arrived at the recently found lands, before knights, knaves, valets, and jacks landed, amazing civilizations were there. Like, dude, that is absolutely a movie. It feels like it's maybe a movie that's already been done, but absolutely a movie trailer right there. So really great touch on the story, drawing you in, really giving you an idea about what this is going to really entail.
Yeah, and I love the name, Ace in Face.
Yeah.
So cool about the campaign name.
Dive in, and we have some standard features here for the regular version of the deck, printed by USPCC on their classic stock. 100% hand-painted custom deck, which I think is really cool. The one thing I would say here is on these features here, you could probably consolidate the custom courts, pips, indices, jokers, and aces to just say fully custom deck. You know, in the collection industry, I think a lot of people know that fully custom means fully custom across the board. You're not going to be finding standard base cards there. So while it is nice to draw it, it's a little bit repetitive visually, and you want to make sure that you're using your space as accurately and as impactful as possible. Getting into it, we also see a limited collector's version here with a personalized numbered seal. Looks very similar, and then a matte stock by Gambler's Warehouse. The one thing I would say there as well, and this is just a little bit of a nitpick, matte ends with an E in this instance, where it is a matte paper. So again, make sure to always have people double checking. This could be because the artists are based out of Brazil. It may have just been a quick language overlook there. They may have used something simple for a spell check and just didn't notice it. You know, no matter where they're from or what their original language is, this is very easily an oversight because matte is a proper noun, and so a lot of things will ignore that. But something always to have people run through with just a double check. And then mention of the embossed tuck there. So again, I probably would have combined those two lines into a matte embossed tuck from Gambler's Warehouse, or printed by Gambler's Warehouse, something along those lines. Then we dive into it even more, and the story actually continues. So you start out with that really strong trailer that kind of ties you in at the top, and they actually get into the background of the deck and the process, which I think is so spectacular. I have to say, for a lot of people looking at this, when you first look at the tuck, I almost think the tuck is probably, I don't want to say the weakest part of this, but the least, like, exciting part, while still very beautiful. You look at the face cards and you look at the art behind this, the tuck as the first image almost doesn't do it justice. And because of that, the one thing I might say is it might be worthwhile to actually change that header image to something a little more eye-catching, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree. It would be really impactful even to put a face on the front of that tuck box.
Absolutely. I mean, something that they've done themselves. You can see the painting in process here. Some of the cards they have here, they're just beautifully done. That Queen of Clubs there would have been spectacular as an initial image there to really draw someone's eye to the campaign.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And I like that each of the suits has a different kind of cultural background to it, which is really cool as well.
And it just goes with the deck, to be honest.
I mean, look at this. Like, this artwork really is really well done.
Yeah, they did a great job.
So diving into the rewards here, we understand that we have a few odd reward tiers. Sorry, but not sorry. They're awesome, though. While I'll agree we'll jump through a lot of the tiers on this one, there are some that I would still argue are better off as add-ons, not as tiers themselves. Again, the primary goal of this is to sell decks and sell the artwork in this scenario as well. So artwork tiers, perfectly understandable. Deck tiers, perfectly understandable. Everything else probably serves better as an add-on.
Yeah, I mean, that's the key. It's always easy to keep track of.
Yeah. So I think the other cool thing about this too is they're actually creating a 3D printer STL file that'll go along with this campaign, where they'll actually be able to give it to people who have a 3D printer, and you'll be able to print your own deck stand. So a nice little fun feature that are including with this as well, which I think is awesome.
That is cool. I wonder if we'll be seeing more and more of that in campaigns.
I mean, we already see a lot of campaigns in other parts of Kickstarter where like STLs files are available as the sole aspect of the campaign, which is really cool.
Yeah, definitely cool.
Nice little add-ons list here. We have a sticker set, regular version of the deck as an add-on, collector's version as an add-on, high-quality paper printed replica, high-quality canvas printed replica. The one thing I would say with those add-ons as well is making sure that you're actually showing what you're getting there. Sometimes, especially for the high-quality printed replica and the canvas printed replica, someone may be curious what exactly that's going to look like. Even if it's a render or a mock-up, it never hurts to have that there, especially at a higher price point. I want people to feel comfortable backing that and knowing what they're getting.
Yeah.
And then I'm always a firm believer that stretch goals, if you're going to have them, at least lay them out far enough ahead that they're there. It looks like you've got some stuff built out. Teasing it's all well and good, but I probably would have teased it out closer to about that 150 mark, because you want to give as much momentum as possible. And if someone sees something that they like at 200%, they're going to go out of their way to try and get this deck to 200%. Whether it's successful or not depends, but you actually build a, self-sustaining marketing kind of platform when you have people interested in stretch goals, because they want to see it get to that level.
Yeah, they're more apt to share it on socials and stuff like that if it's something that they really want.
Absolutely. And I love the inclusion of the timeline here as well. Very nicely done. As with all things playing card related, that January is probably optimistic just based on backups we've seen in the community, but it's good that they're putting that out there as their initial kind of timeline. Things can change. As long as there's communication there, they'll be set. And nice little touch on the team there. And then let's go check out the risks and challenges. I have to say, a pretty decent first time creator risk and challenges. We've seen really lengthy ones that I really love, but I do think it's better to see something better than nothing. So they talk about what their kind of plan is if hiccups should arise. They don't address any potential pitfalls. I think in this time of the world, shipping is still a major issue. So just touching on the fact that COVID-related delays are always a possibility is an easy no-brainer in these things. But I do like the approach they went with on this risk and challenges as well.
Yeah, it's always good to see a couple paragraphs.
Absolutely, man.
We got price-wise.
Price-wise, we're looking at 22 shipped for the regular deck and 25 for the collectors. So what I would say is I actually think that's a little on the high end for what the collectors is bringing. It's literally just a tuck change with embossing. So that extra $3, while probably is really just meant to cover the cost of the tuck itself, that's basically about what they would cost there. Maybe a little bit less. At the end of the day, that brings it into a higher price point that it's not ready to necessarily be in. With that in mind, it actually might be better to actually lower the price of the regular deck a little bit so that collector's tuck is coming in closer to that $21, $22 mark.
Yeah, or if you, what I would do is I would just, either go full out with that standard tuck, or bring in that limited tuck and just price it at $21, $22 at that standard price.
Yeah, I think in that case, you're going to get a lot more people who are only going after the limited, but...
I'm saying if the limited was the standard.
Oh, yeah, so get rid of the regular non...
Yeah, just come in with the limited tuck and charge that 22 for the, the standard price.
Taking a look at the tiers, too, I do have to say, they all look pretty standard. I was expecting a little more out of the ordinary here, just based on their kind of commentary there. So you have original painting, you as a card, very cool. Very pricey as well.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say on this one I'm curious about is the painting and actual physical painting. If that's the case, then cool, $750, a little bit of a different story. You're actually commissioning a physical piece of art. If it's you as a card as a digital thing, that's something to consider there as well. So definitely make sure you clarify that, not only here, but in the text of the campaign itself. The other thing, I think, you know, those tiers make perfect sense. The other thing, I'll say this, and I've said this a million times, hopefully one day people will listen. Always make sure to put your uncut sheet as an add-on. It's not a worthwhile tier by itself. More often than not, you'll see a sale point of maybe 5 to 8 uncut sheets. You're not going to sell a ton of them. All it does is you now have someone who's backing without buying a deck, and you're actually detracting from print of the deck because you still need to print the minimum run of decks, even if you get uncut sheets. That is the one thing with other printers versus USPCC. Sometimes those uncut sheets will go towards your print run. With USPCC, that is not the case. So it's in addition to the print run that you have. So something to consider there. It's not worth having an uncut sheet. It's better off to do it as an add-on. Not worth having it as a tier. Let me clarify that. It's worth having it. It never hurts if you sell enough. Pays for itself. But I also think that shipping wise, it's costly. It ends up being something that not a ton of people utilize, so keep that in mind.
Yeah, good luck.
Good luck. And for this week's first good campaign, we have the Veggies Series Onion playing cards with new color and add-ons. So while I have to say this is a relaunch, so we're going to touch on a couple things that have changed here. I don't remember if last time around this was a great or a good campaign, but this time I think it solidly falls into that good category. While they do have a really well-built campaign, there are several things that just stand out as problematic with this. One of the things you can see here comparing their previous campaign is their goal. Right off the cuff, they went from a 7,000 goal in their first one, which had a single deck and not much in the way of add-ons, to an $8,000 goal where you've now added a second deck color, plates, mugs, and then including the original custom tucks and half brick boxes. You're now looking at only a $1,000 increase for a lot of added cost to this campaign. So from a creator's point of view, you're now actually incurring a lot more cost that you may not actually be recuperating based on what you're actually asking for as your goal. Well, let's dive into it here. First off, we get into a very minimal story here. It doesn't really tie into what I would consider as the story, and then we go into what's new about this. While I'm not necessarily a fan of throwing these things at the top, I get why they did it. They want to bring the coolest thing to the front of it, but at the same time, if someone hasn't seen the previous campaign and this is their first introduction to it, it's very jarring to see a quick story and then all of something that says new add-ons. Well, what were the old add-ons? You almost bring up a lot more questions, I think, than you would have originally, and in that sense, I'd say put the add-ons back where they belong, towards the bottom. Let people naturally scroll down to it.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree.
They are interesting mugs and plates. That being said, I'm curious to see how much they end up costing. About the deck, here we go. Foil deck with silver gilding, printed by WJPC, limited to 500 decks. I immediately, to me, yes, I get it. There's a minimal story to this. That, I can't even call that features. It's the most concise explanation of what the deck is, and while usually I'd be all on board for that, you're literally trying to sell this, and that just doesn't, it feels like a passing thought. If I'm scrolling through images here, I just missed it, you know? Yeah. And to me, I think that just does a disservice to one of the key points of this deck, is the fact that it's a foiled deck printed by WJPC with gilding on it, limited to 500 decks. So we jump into it and we see a red and a blue, inspired by Onion and Scandinavian retro floral design. I still love the design of this deck. But one...
Yeah, I love that purple one.
Dude, it looks good, right? It's like an interesting onion red, which really does have that purple vibe to it. I'm shocked. I think this is the first time you said you like a red deck, Steve. So,
I mean, it's purple, but it looks.
I think it's maroon. I think it's maroon, all things considered, but that's close enough. The interesting thing that actually comes to mind as a question here now as well is limited to 500 decks. Is that for both back designs individually? Are you only printing 500, or are you printing 500 of each? That also is going to have a significant impact on the goal, and it's something that people are going to want to be curious about. If these are one of 250 each, that makes them much more rare than one of 500 each. At the end of the day, if someone really loves this design and they want to make sure they get it, 1 out of 250 is going to create a sense of urgency to make sure you don't miss out. 250 backers is an easy number to hit on a Kickstarter that has good momentum. So, something to consider there. The fact that this is fully foil and gilded really looks awesome. I think it's a really exciting kind of look to it. The silver gilding is a safe bet. I have to say that render is almost too good.
Yeah, I mean, it would be cool to actually be able to see the side of the deck where it's gilded.
Yeah, like, yeah, the lines would have been good there. And I have to say, it's almost like perfectly mirrored finish, which like a part of me really appreciates. It's clean, it's satisfying, but like I also know the deck will never look like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I get it. It just doesn't look like it's the side of a
Yeah.
deck.
Sample print and bridge size product will be in poker size. Good to touch on that there as well. Talking on the tuck box, inspired from sliced onions. This is actually one of the really cool things I liked about the original one, is the idea that this was using a non-traditional tuck because it's clever, it's creative, it thinks outside of the box. In addition to that, they then have this salad box, brick box, 6 and 12 decks. So it looks like it's going to be actually, 2, 4, 6. I guess it's a half brick box. So if you bought a brick, you'd get 2. Or no, does it hold?
It looks like a brick box.
A brick box. Yeah, so that's interesting.
That thing's got to be huge.
Yeah, that's got to be really big. It's interesting though, they say the salad box is available with 6 and 12 deck rewards. So I wonder if there's one for each. But I am genuinely curious about that now because like the depth of it here, I can't tell how
looks like the 6.
I can't tell how thick it is. Is it 2 different ones? Is it one? And one of them comes with 6, one comes with 12, and that's the only difference. So again, a lot of questions that are opening up to this, which I think any person who's running through is going to be asking these questions, and because of those questions, potentially hesitating to back. So you want to make sure you're really thinking on what details you're giving in this campaign.
Yeah. Kind of makes it difficult to walk around with.
Yes, oh my gosh.
That deck.
Unless you just take it out of the tuck all the time, or you have like a throwaway white box tuck, which actually might not be a bad thing for them to do. If they're printing, well, they're printing with WJPC. I don't know what an additional cost would be for the tucks there. But if you were doing this with USPCC, you could have them print like a carry tuck and then a collector's tuck, which would have been really cool.
Yeah, no, that would have definitely been key for me.
And then you have customized design with standard faces. Looks like they added little bits of smiles to it. I have to say, I like the idea of the smiling face cards, but in reality, because it's an onion, I would have wanted to see them crying. You know, like they're cutting the onion and so they're crying. I like the change though. I like the emotion brought to it, because that's always something where court cards fall flat. They don't have emotion to their face. Identical jokers here. And then we get kind of to the risks and challenges, which always throws me that it's in a separate section now, but very small risks and challenges for a first time around, especially when your first campaign didn't successfully fund. So that's one thing I would consider there. Also, the first time you're mentioning fulfillment is here, gamblers. I would throw that in the main part of the campaign as well, near where you talk about WJPC. But with that in mind, throw in a features that beefs up that whole section and really gives some depth to it.
How much are these looking at?
We are looking at $19 shipped. I gotta say, man, for a full foil back design and a gilded deck, that also goes to the goal on this one for me. If these are one of 250 each, you're printing 500 decks at 8,000 gold, a little bit more reasonable. But if you're printing 1,000 decks in 500 each in the colorway and selling them for 19 shipped, there's going to be a big chunk coming out of your pocket on this one. It's something I would definitely consider there, because 1,000 decks is going to cost you almost half of that. Shipping alone is going to cost you almost half of that. Gilding is going to cost you an extra bit to it. Oil is going to cost you an additional side on the printing. So it's a pretty significant cost there.
Yeah, if you look on the right on the tiers, do they have caps on them? On the tiers?
It doesn't look like... some of them do.
Oh, they do.
Some of them do. So which one is this one? The limited pack, which is the onion deck or color and a plate or mug. I would also...
So basically, there's no way to limit those decks. Like, what happens if all of a sudden someone comes in and buys 288 or, whatever?
Yeah.
They're not limited.
Yeah, so something to consider there as well. If you are going to be limiting print run, limited decks to what you have there. I would also say the plate and mug idea, make them as add-ons. They're better off as add-ons. I think it's good that you have the collector's tier that has a deck plus the add-ons, but you could have also saved a tier and made them just add-ons. So something to consider there.
Yep.
So good luck.
Good luck.
Yeah, I like this deck first time around. I still like the artwork, especially this time around, but definitely think about that price point and about how to get the momentum out there. So good luck. And for this week's first Needs Help deck, we have Bicycle Diner Dames playing cards by Kelly Gilleran. I apologize if I mispronounced your last name there. There's a very good chance I did. But that being said, I really dig the retro style of this deck. This thing has that old school, like, malt shop vibe to it.
Yeah.
Futurist Co., for anyone who isn't familiar, actually did one of the original VHS decks that we saw in 2016. They've done a whole bunch of playing cards in the past, so this is not their first campaign. That being said, it is their first campaign in a while, and one thing we do see with returning creators who haven't done Kickstarter in a while is they haven't always updated their previous template to what really pops on Kickstarter now. The one thing I will say on this one, it's great that they mentioned it's being printed by USPCC. Getting into it, we have a story around Kelly Gilleran here. Art, awesome. You see some of the deck. Such a fun, like, malt shop vibe to the tuck. And then we kind of...
Pretty color.
It's very nice colors, very vintage feel to it. It just looks cool. The one thing I want to say here is I think the cards themselves need a lot more visibility to them just because this is a small image. Also, this whole section where you're breaking down what the themes of them are probably would have actually been better as subtitles to images showing off those cards as well. It would have given you an opportunity to present the deck much more aesthetically pleasing and really in a way that allows people to see all of the nuance and artwork that's gone into this deck.
Yeah.
With that in mind, I don't see anything on the fulfillment or really much of a story on this one. I really would want to see a story behind this because I think this has such a cool vibe to it. I think it hits a specific kind of target of the collector's market who's going to love this. People who A, love bicycle decks, but also B, love that old school malt shop, you know, drive-through kind of vibe that you could get with these old restaurants. It almost reminds me of like Steak and Shake, which is tries to go for that in the more modern side of things, you know?
I don't even know what Steak and Shake
it's like
is.
A chain restaurant where they're basically known for like burgers and milkshakes. And they make like pretty good milkshakes, but yeah.
How much is this? How much is this?
They're coming in here at $12 shipped. What's the goal on this thing? 5,000 gold. So let's assume they're printing 1,000 decks here because they have to. It's USPCC. At $12 shipped, I gotta say they're gonna be walking away with some money in pocket, but by no means much.
Maybe.
Yeah, like
Maybe.
this is gonna be a tight campaign. And again, this goes back to the idea of having created previous campaigns. Always make sure you're double checking your numbers for new campaigns. Now, this could easily be a $18, $19, $20 deck, and I don't think anyone would bat an eye. At $12, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. And while I'm not one to say, hey, go out and get every single penny out of it that you can, also don't force yourself to pay out of pocket for something if it funds. You know, the whole purpose
I mean, they could have threw $16 shipped on this, and that would have been great, too.
Yeah, and you think about 1,000 decks at $4 extra each, that's $4,000 extra dollars that would have been raised should this fully fund and fully sell out. So definitely something to consider. The price point, I didn't think I'd ever be saying this. The price point is almost too low for what this deck is and the amount of effort and energy that's gone into it. So if this does not fund, and honestly, based on where it is now and based on the amount of backers and the fact that it's a bicycle deck, I have no doubt this will fund. But if this should not fund, I would say raise the price point and reassess the goal and really throw a lot more of the more modern kind of approach to the campaign to it. Tell your story. Tell the story about the deck. Bring in better images of the picture so people can really see all of that beautifully designed artwork.
Oh, good luck.
Good luck. And for another great campaign this week, we have the Solidarity playing cards, a tribute to our heroes. So while this is under the Solidarity playing cards brand, this is in fact a Riffle Shuffle deck. So you know this is going to be great. No question about it. Riffle Shuffle has a comprehensive template that they use for pretty much all of their campaigns. They hit on the features, they hit on the story. Their price points are usually spectacular, and from an art point of view, this thing just looks gorgeous. So no shocker, great campaign from Riffle Shuffle on operating under Solidarity playing cards there.
I love that deck.
It's a good one. Good luck to them on this one. And for another great campaign, we have the Mono X Chroma Edition playing cards. Again, no surprise there, and I have to say, Luke Wadey coming in very close to the same funding goal as Riffle Shuffle on that one. And while that may not be a huge deal to everyone who realizes what a great designer Luke is, I have a feeling he's going to see this and smile at that part right there. Luke, just realized that you're crushing it, man. This is absolutely a great campaign. Luke is one of probably the most creative people I know when it comes to building out a Kickstarter campaign, and he literally goes over every single aspect of it. Printed by USPCC, fulfilled by gamblers, right in the subtitle, fits out perfect, no orphans on it because he is the king of making sure you don't have orphans. Coming in at a beautiful price point on this thing, he really just built out a great campaign as always. beautiful story, beautiful features. What's more to say? You know, if you're not looking at a Riffle Shuffle campaign to figure out your first one, you should be looking at a Luke Wadey campaign.
Good luck, Luke.
Good luck, man. Keep on going, man. You're definitely going to crush it here. And for another Needs Help campaign this week, we have the Lucha Warriors playing cards. So I gotta say, there are a lot of things that stand out on this one. No printer, no fulfillment information. The price point on this isn't terrible, but all things considered, without knowing who's actually going to be printing this, it's a risky deal here. I actually think the deck has a lot of potential. I dig the kind of 80s cartoon vibe to it, and I think that fits with the Luchadors theme, what people would kind of be expecting. I love the fact that they've created action figures that go along with this campaign as well. But you're looking at a total run of 1,000 pieces per model. That is
crazy.
4,000 action figures with a goal of $3,700. So having looked recently into how much an action figure costs, you're probably looking at a couple dollars per action figure to get them made. That's pricey, man. So definitely consider your goals on this one, and good luck. And for another Needs Help campaign this week, we have the Military Honors Playing Cards, a classic deck of playing cards honoring the men and women of the United States military. I have to say, really close to their funding goal, very low funding goal on that one, but no surprise, they may be going with a lesser known printer, could be going with NPC, could be doing a limited run of deck. Nothing wrong with a $1,000 goal if it actually fits your campaign. The big reason that this one is a Needs Help campaign is they don't talk about who's printing, they don't really talk about who's fulfilling, and I think from a creator point of view, they are biting themselves on the shipping policy. While it's great to see that you're going to do $3 flat rate in the US no matter how many decks you buy, that is going to cost you a lot if someone buys a brick. Whether someone buys a brick or not of this deck, to be seen, but it's always a risky maneuver to do that $3 flat rate. If you're actually willing to eat the cost of shipping, just do free shipping across the board for domestic. If you're not and you want to still give a discount, $3 you're not even covering on a single deck cost. So that becomes difficult there. The other thing...
You're going to eat a lot.
The other thing that this tells me is you probably have not considered your packaging cost and your actual time that goes into all of that. All right, let's check the risks and challenges real quick. No mention of fulfillment. So the one thing I do want to say is if you're going to be self-fulfilling, that $3 cuts into you big time. So good luck. And for another Needs Help campaign this week, we have the Radiance playing cards. 24,000 goal, really high on this one. I know it's going to be 2 decks printed by USPCC, so you're looking at 2 colorways at 1,000 each minimum. 24,000 though is significant. You're probably closer to looking at maybe 15,000, all things considered, especially with a standard deck with a standard tuck. You're not looking at a lot of the costs that bells and whistles like gilding, embossing, or foil would add on to it. So I'd say 15,000 is probably your safe bet. With that in mind, if you have momentum to go beyond that, that can always cover a little bit of excess cost, but 24,000 out the gate almost becomes prohibitive for people to see because people want to know that something they're going to back has a likelihood of funding.
Yeah, good luck.
And for another Needs Help campaign this week, we have the Blip playing cards, a deck of playing cards with a custom glitch-themed back and face design. I gotta say, really interesting idea to this. The one thing that jumps out to me, though, is you're looking at a $4,000 goal, printed by USPCC, only selling 5,000 limited editions. Your cost to print 5,000 decks gets into... This is almost the opposite problem of the last deck here. $24,000 goal, didn't need that much money. This case, you need that $24,000 goal. You're printing 5,000 decks on this one, you're looking at a pretty high price point there. You're probably looking at 10,000 plus just for the decks. That doesn't include shipping, which is probably going to be another $5,000 to $7,000 on top of that. You throw any sort of, added features into this mix, you're looking at a pretty costly campaign here. For 5,000 print run, you probably will be looking at 20,000 minimum. This goal is going to have you eating a significant amount of money should this fund.
Yeah, good luck.
Good luck. But that being said, man, a lot more Needs Help campaigns this week than I think either of us had anticipated. Definitely wasn't as encouraging as I had hoped when I saw 9 campaigns. But, at least there were some diamonds in the rough there.
Yeah, that's for sure.
What are you planning on backing this week, man?
Well, mono, of course. Monochroma.
Nice.
I love the mono series and love the stuff, so definitely mono. Solidarity I thought was pretty rad.
Nice.
I think that's it.
All right, man. Yeah, I definitely think I am on board for the mono, the solidarity, and the natives. Absolutely digging the artwork on the natives. I just think they got to do a better job pushing it. I think they got to do a better job selling it, change up that cover image, and really make sure they're publicizing it because it's a dope looking deck.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's beautiful. I'd love to see one of those epic faces staring right at you on this huck box. It'd be so good.
Absolutely, man. And let's check out some fun little accessories this week that came out real quick. First up, we got the Artistic Playing Cards deck boxes handcrafted. Dude, this is a really interesting campaign, all things considered. It looks like a wooden box that is custom handmade to be stylized around playing cards. If you're really looking for something interesting to put on your collector's shelf, this green one just pops. Like,
yeah, I need to see the inside though.
My guess would be that it's probably just either plain wood inside out. There we go. Inside, they will be covered with black cotton velvet.
Yeah, I just need to see how it fits.
Yeah.
If the deck fits perfectly in there, if it's a little wobbly, I don't know. I just need to see the inside.
Definitely something to consider there. I would definitely say show a picture of a deck snugly fitting in there. They do have the dimensions on it as well. And coming in at a $64 price point on this one may seem a little bit high, but you got to remember this is all being handmade, which is really cool. I think this is something that obviously is going to appeal to a very specific type of collector. So while 64 may seem expensive for some, I do think some people will be backing this because it is just dope looking.
Yeah, good luck. I like that kind of rugged look on it.
Yeah, dude, it really looks nicely weathered. Very cool. So, and for a fun Magic campaign this week, we have Magician's Table and Magician's Organizer by TCC Presents. Dude, I gotta say, I'm still shocked that more magicians are not coming to the Kickstarter table. I think TCC is doing a great job with every one of their campaigns they come out here, and we've seen some phenomenal stuff from them. We've seen not only playing cards and display stands, but they're coming out with Magic on a pretty regular basis now, which is exciting because they do bring some great creators to the Magic space.
Yeah, they're great. I mean, all their stuff is great.
You look at this. This is a really well put together campaign. If there's one thing you can ever say about their campaigns is they are long, but
Dude, their campaigns are confusing. I'm not gonna lie, they're confusing. It takes a little while to see what the heck they're selling, but you know, other than that, it's they always have great stuff.
No doubt about it. You gotta make sure you have the time to sit down and read through it all. I would not recommend reading through their campaign on a mobile phone. Sit down on the desktop and really give it a glance because there is a lot of information here. But I'm really excited to see them bringing more Magic-oriented items to the Kickstarter space because I think it goes to show how many people are interested in it. You look at this right here, 319 backers. At the end of this campaign, if they end up having 500 backers, they know exactly how many they need to make for this to fulfill their first round of demand. Then they maybe make an extra 10% if they want to just see if they can float some extra on the aftermarket. But ultimately, they have a great thing there that we don't always see with Magic, which is how many people are going to want to buy this, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree.
Very nicely done there. I'm really excited to see more Magic come to Kickstarter, hopefully.
Yeah.
Dude, and you know what that means, though, right? You know what time it is.
It's time for the fun.
We're gonna have to get you to do like a theme song for the fun part, and that's how it's gonna start.
I don't know if
It's
that'll be
time
fun.
for the fun. Like, we'll get Kenneth Wayne Preston to come on and do a feature singing about the fun campaigns. How's that?
That'd be cool. We could do that. We can roll it right before we can have like a little intro into our fun time.
We'll definitely get that in the works there. Don't you worry. But dude, I gotta say, I'm
Yeah.
actually really excited for this week's fun campaigns. I know you're breaking your non-lamp streak, and I think that's perfectly fine.
I'm sorry.
I think that's perfectly fine. Last week, someone commented on the video and asked how they signed up for the lamp notification mail list. And I was like, you know, you just have to go to onlylamps.com. And then I went to look at the domain because I was like, yeah, that's a brilliant idea, but it was a premium domain and they wanted $3,500 for it. And I'm like, I'm not trying to sell lamps, so...
Oh,
it made me laugh big time, though, and I'm glad to see that people are waiting to see what lamps or non-lamps we're going to be bringing to the table this week. So let's dive right into it with this week's first fun campaign. We have the SHARIFF DMC2 desktop CNC. So for anyone who knows me, I'm really into these hobby devices, especially the do-it-yourself printers or, you know, CNC machines. I think CNC is such a really interesting kind of hobby or trade or skill, and there are so many ways you can utilize this even in playing cards where this could bring value to prototyping and things like that. So I really like that home prototyping style device. This thing just jumped out at me right when I saw it.
Dude, every time I hear CNC, I think of Good Vibrations, the song.
Oh my god. Sure, I mean, I'm sure this thing vibrates, don't worry.
Exactly. How much is this
We
thing?
are looking at... Oof. So CNC machines are not cheap, and we'll throw that out there right away. But you're looking at $3,200 for this thing, which honestly, though, is probably significantly less than you'd be looking at for a professional grade machine to bring into your home, which would probably need its own workbench and everything. This actually looks like a tabletop unit, which is really cool, so you can do it in a smaller footprint. But, dude, I am 100% on board with the CNC machine here.
Yeah.
All the fun stuff you can make. And for another fun campaign this week, we have the ATOWAK ETTORE Supercar-Inspired 4-arm Wandering Hour watch. So
I'm confused already.
I have to say, I actually was really excited by this because I like a good watch. This watch, I will be very upfront, is not my style. I would not back this personally, but I do respect the ingenuity of this and the styling around that of what you would see with a normal watch. So I really like when they come out with creative new watches. You know, a watch is something that we've had for hundreds of years. So to see innovative aspects to it and approaches to it is not as common as you would think, especially these days. So to see a fun one there, really cool looking, man.
It looks like Doc and Luke should collaborate with their RPM deck on this watch.
Dude, this 100% could be an RPM watch right there.
Yeah, totally.
Ferrari might be mad if
limited to 500 pieces.
Ferrari might be mad if you steal their collab, but it would be worth it because this thing is pretty intense looking. This is definitely like a driving oriented watch. Again, to me, not necessarily my style. I'm also, depending on where you're wearing this, it feels like the crown is on the wrong side. And that would be bothersome because if you're wearing the watch, you have to adjust something.
Oh yeah, it's gonna poke into your hand.
You got to take it off. That's why the crown usually goes on the outside, because it doesn't poke you as easily. You can quickly adjust your watch while wearing it. Something to consider there. I mean, they've already funded, so this is going to become a reality. Look at that $19,000 goal, $274,000 raised. Highly impressive, but this thing is just dope looking.
Right.
Yeah, what are we looking at price?
How much is it? $3.99?
Shipped $3.98, so you save $1 from shipping.
Nice.
This is always something that kicks me, is the Kickstarter estimation up top is always a little different than what it comes in at the bottom. Yeah, $3.99 for a branded, or maybe not branded, but, you know, inspired watch that's creative is actually not a bad price point. So, yeah. Especially if it's automatic.
Definitely on the wrong hand down there.
Yeah. I'm curious if it's an automatic watch or a battery-operated watch, but, let's see here. It is an automatic watch, so very cool. So yeah, you're not getting a battery-operated watch. This thing will last pretty much forever with some routine maintenance, which at $3.99 is not a bad price point at all.
Not a Brad Pitt?
I mean, it's definitely not a Brad Pitt kind of watch, but oh my god. But yeah, dude, definitely a fun watch for the car enthusiast out there.
Good luck.
And for Steve's first fun campaign this week, we have the Elesense computer monitor light bar. Elesense. There you go. Elesense computer monitor light bar. This asymmetrical design, auto-dimming, 2.4 gigahertz wireless controller, no screen glare, countless color, temperature, and brightness adjustment light bar. It's interesting.
You know what? Here's what it should say underneath the Elesense, the title. It should say, dope. That's it.
Dope. So what sells you on this, Steve? It looks like an old school book lamp.
Dude, the wireless connector right there. You can adjust it. There's no wire that's coming off onto the desk or anything like that. You don't have to adjust it. It just sits on your monitor. And you have your little boop, 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 boop. Works perfectly.
All right.
Dope.
That is convenient. I can see where that would be very cool. Definitely fits into the whole smart home vibe you can get these days. And that being said, I do actually appreciate the kind of vintage-esque feel to it that you have with that long, sleek, rounded library-style light to it.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll fit on my monitor, but it looks pretty rad.
As long as
you know me, I love that nice sleek design.
As long as you don't have a curved monitor, I would guess that it would fit.
Yeah.
So definitely clean looking, man. Definitely fun. I wonder if they do different colorways, because they all kind of look like they have this
like the
antique bronze look to it, which it may not be a color for everybody, you know. So I'd be curious to see if they do have any other colorways. We're looking at price point wise.
They're not bad, to be honest.
One early bird, $75. Yeah, that really isn't bad,
Yeah,
dude.
they're not bad.
That's really, yeah, I'm actually surprised. I would have expected closer to like $150, $200 for something with like
Yeah, that's
wireless
about
tech.
your standard, like good, high quality desk lamp is about 150.
Yeah.
Or more.
And actually, the really cool thing about this, though, too, being 2.4 gigahertz wireless, you could probably, if you had a smart home setup, build a custom controller for your smart home that would tap into like a 2.4G, actually it would be Wi-Fi. So you'd be able to tap right into it and have a custom controller that would control this light from whatever your smart home instance is. Yeah, which would be really, really fun and clever there as well.
Boop, 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 boop. Awesome.
You can tell you could get your Amazon little device that I don't want to say the name to get people thrown off here, but you know, you could add it to your little device and you could turn on your little monitor light from across the room if you really wanted.
Yeah, it's the only problem. Here's my only dilemma. I can't have a cool lamp like that because I already have a ton of lights because of the podcast and the show. So I really don't need any lamps in here, which is kind of cool because it saves me some money, but
Understandable. I mean, you could always just splurge and get yourself another lamp that you only use when you're not doing the show.
Yeah, I have a big lamp that I can actually see in the room, and it's not just on my desk.
There you go. Well,
yeah.
Maybe next time you'll find a lamp that just fits the room better for you, Steve. And for another fun campaign this week, we have the Titanium Folding Fan EDC Fan Window Breaking Tool. This is 100% Steve's campaign.
First of all, I just want to say I know nothing about fans. This campaign just fascinated the hell out of me on many different levels. You know, obviously I know there's martial arts that, you know, use fans as weapons. You know, you and I talked about that. But the fact that, you know, and we'll go through it, you know, there's a couple things that I was just unaware of, but it was just really cool. I love the whole window breaking in the title. That kind of got me.
Oh my god. I think the funny thing about this is, for anyone who doesn't know, Steve does not have air conditioning in his room. So very often when we do long recordings, Steve will come out of it and be like, oh god, it's so hot in here. So the fan to me immediately was, I just envisioned Steve sitting there fanning himself while recording.
All I gotta say, dude, is I would have a $1 fan, okay? This thing is pricey.
Oh my god, dude. Super early bird, $320. $550 MSRP.
Bro, I don't even know if, and this is why I picked it, because I want people to let me know what the deal is with these fans. Like, is it, do people collect them? Is there high class fans? Is there not? Like, I want to know.
I'm perplexed by this as well, because I can't imagine spending $310 early bird price.
Dude, they're engraved. They have numbers on them, like they're limited edition. So I guess they're.
But like,
you know, yeah.
I mean, like from a creator point of view, I'm curious what the markup is on this. Like, if they come back and they're like, yeah, it cost us $300 to make, I'd be like, all right, fair enough. But like,
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know, man. That seems, there's big and small sizes. Like, mind blown here.
Mine too, which is why I picked this.
You could buy 4 of those lamps you want.
Bro, like, I mean, I only need 1 lamp, you know? But
alternatively, you could buy a CNC machine and potentially just make all the fans you need.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be this quality.
Oh,
you know,
God.
This is special.
This is something.
Look at that.
Man.
Jalop, man.
Heavy hit.
Crazy.
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 This is definitely very cool, but at that price point, I'm going to pass. 380.
Dude, 382 people are like, hell yeah, I want a $310
There's got to be a story behind that where there's like a legit use case for this in the martial arts world.
Leave it below.
Yeah, if you know it, please
know.
let us know in the comments below, because we are perplexed, truly perplexed by this titanium folding fan. It's dope, looking.
I'm not gonna lie.
Dude, it's dope. It's definitely dope, but $310 price point, that's a lot of decks of cards, man.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Well, it depends on what cards you get. But.
Oh my gosh. And as always, we always love to hear what everyone out there is backing this week. So while you're at it, make sure to comment down below. Let us know what decks of cards you're planning on backing. What else on Kickstarter caught your eye this week? Whether it's a light bar, a CNC machine, a exorbitantly priced folding fan, or anything else out there that may have piqued your interest. We always love to know what you guys are interested in backing, so please drop a comment down below. And while you're dropping a comment, also make sure to hit that little thumbs up and like it, share it with a friend who you think would enjoy the video, and subscribe to the channel.
Hey, bye.